Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, KLIXcast and Jill Skeen.
Good morning and welcome to Top Story, 7360300, always the number to call. And good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Kelly.
It's so nice to have you here this morning.
Why, am I being set up here or what?
No.
Isn't it nice to have me here every morning?
You're just so
Why
suspicious
today?
of everything.
Should I not be?
When I'm nice to you, you're suspicious. When I'm not, you're angry. You know, there's just no winning
I'm just
here.
A malcontent, aren't
Yes,
I?
you
just
are.
a malcontent.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, nothing makes me happy. And I said no wire hangers. Okay. Anyway.
Oh, my.
Good morning. Thanks. It's nice to be here. It's already Thursday. This week is flying by.
And it's a warm morning this morning.
What is it?
We're up to 39 already.
What's it supposed to get to today?
I have no idea. I don't see the weather forecast anymore since I don't. And Benito doesn't leave it in here for me or anything. You know,
I do watch it. I have a problem with weather. I'll sit there, I focus on the weather, and then I'll be over, and I realize I didn't pay attention. I like blank out with the weather. My mother loves watching the Weather Channel. Maybe that was why. And so anyway, if someone tells me the weather, it retains. If I literally try to, and I'll say, okay, focus on the weather, and next thing I know, I don't know what it said. Yeah. I didn't pay attention.
I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the weather unless I'm going to be traveling or something, and that is like hardly ever.
So basically, you don't pay attention to the weather.
The best weather forecaster I've ever seen is open the window and see what it's doing. You know?
Yeah, that really predicts for the rest of the day.
Well, it gives you an idea of what's happening now.
Uh-huh.
At any rate, coming up at 8:30, we'll have Sergeant Ken Menzel with the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department. He'll have the bad guys list. I think we want to ask him a question or two, too. It looks like the production of meth is down, but the importation of meth is up.
Yeah, I don't think the use is down, because didn't we just hear from State Trooper Keith Thompson that he said the use was still as high as ever? So, yeah. Well, I'm glad. The production is down. We've exported it. We're now importing
from the Mexican
We've exported
cartels.
our product to Mexico. They're making it. Now we import it. So
what was I was trying to think this morning in the Breaking Bad series, what was his meth name?
I didn't watch it.
Oh, started with an H. It was the teacher and
Henry?
No,
Hank?
I forget. Somebody will call and tell me.
I never watched that. I heard it was.
Sat down
people loved it.
We sat down and watched the whole series here a while back.
Makes you want to be a teacher, doesn't it? Is that the point of it? Education is really the key to it all.
That was one of those unique shows that when this one was over, you couldn't wait till the next episode to see what happened.
I know. People were just crazy about that show.
Yeah.
I never watched it.
Heisenberg. There we go. My daughter texted me.
Oh, Tracy, you're just the best.
Because she's watching it now. She's hooked on it right now.
Are you hooked, Tracy? I know. I hear people just binge watch it.
And we have a caller here. Top Story, you're on the air. Oh,
no.
That's
he
what
probably
they were
was going to call. What was it?
Heisenberg.
Heisenberg.
This teacher that was making all the meth, that was what his
a nice Jewish boy
trade name was. Yeah.
Heisenberg. Blame it on the Jews again.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
He was making the best meth there was. See?
Was it? Well, he's a teacher.
Yeah, that's right.
You do your homework. You need an education, kids, the best meth.
Top Story, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Kelly, the protagonist was Walter White. Heisenberg was the street name that he gave himself.
Right.
And Heisenberg, that was a little play on chemistry because isn't there a famous Heisenberg theorem or Heisenberg? He was a famous chemist, German chemist.
That could be.
The Heisenberg
I have no clue
uncertainty principle. Uncertainty principle particle. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle particle. There you go.
Thanks for that info. That's interesting. And Jill cheated because she looked it up on the internet real quick.
Well, I don't know. Did you know? No one knew.
No, I didn't know.
That's why we got this. So you can say there was a principle.
So we're getting the Heisenberg meth now from the Mexican cartels, I guess. I don't know.
Go.
So, but at any rate, maybe we'll talk about that. And I see our guest, Sergeant Menzel, is already standing outside waiting.
People just can't wait to get into the studio, can they?
They're waiting in line. We need to charge admission.
I know.
You want to be on the show? It's going to cost you.
I know. It's like the last shows with KLIXcast, like the Lincoln bedroom. Sit in. Well, I know. We'll raise money for your retirement. Who wants to sit in the studio for a show?
That's right.
That'd be,
right.
you know what? We could break it down to the hour, Cal. We could just have them coming and going,
We could break it down by segment. $1,000 for a short segment, $2,000 for a long segment.
What's your last segment? What would that be worth?
Oh, $10,000 at least.
The last segment for to sit in with Kelly Class. Are we going to get in trouble? We're joking. It was totally a joke.
No, it's not. I'm serious.
Payola and all those things we have to sign about.
What are they going to do? Fire me?
Yeah. Maybe arrest you. And here's your last day. Come with me, young man.
Oh, my. Okay, well, coming up at 8:30.
What were we talking about? How did we get on meth?
We'll have Sergeant Ken Menzel.
Oh, that's right. Talking about meth.
Right.
And the Heisenberg principle.
And then at 9 o'clock, we'll have Kelton Hatch from Idaho Fish and Game.
So please listen up. He's coming up with the holiday roadkill recipe of the month that you can serve at Christmas or Hanukkah. So there you go. It's a special one.
Roadside skunk scallops or something. I
don't know. Sleigh ride. That's what hit the roadkill. The sleigh.
Boy.
Anyway, we'll have that coming up, so please listen up.
Yes, that'll be fun. And he'll answer any questions, so you can call him and ask.
Question. You can ask Kelton anything.
He's a pretty sharp dude, so, he keeps up with all the fish and game
Kelton's
stuff.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, he is. And he knows where to go fish and all that.
He does. He knows how to cook.
Yeah. He is every
man.
Woman's dream.
He's a true Renaissance man.
He can go out and he can bring the food in, and then he can cook it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Except he probably wouldn't mind living without heat. So he's not exactly my guy. Yeah. He's like Jeremiah Johnson in this era.
He sleeps outside on the rocks during the winter.
I know.
Because it's too hot inside.
And the rocks are upset. Get off of me, dude. You're too hot. Yeah. Well, we love Kelton.
We do. He's a great guy. Kelton. We do have a little bit of news to talk about here before we get to our real subject, which is the torture report.
That's right.
So we'll be talking about that finally today. We actually promoted it yesterday. Never got to talk about it.
No.
I hate that.
And
when I say we're going to talk about something today and we don't get to it.
I know.
Because then all my stories online are wrong, because I said
and then they
just
think, poor Kelly. He's retiring. He's got dementia. He put on the wrong shows.
Oh, yes. And they'd be about half right. We do have some news here. More than 150 cattle valued at about $350,000.
Really?
When I was raising cattle, they weren't worth that much.
Otherwise, you'd still be raising cattle.
Otherwise, I'd still be in the cattle business. Anyway, they've been reported missing in southeastern Idaho, and authorities suspect modern-day cattle rustling as beef prices have soared. Now, I bring this up for one reason. I mean, we got a lot of cattle around here.
They stole the cattle?
Yeah. We got a lot of dairies. We got a lot of feedlots in this area. We got a lot of ranchers who ranch on public grazing land and on their own land. And so you probably already were cued in on this, but I'm just going to tell you, watch out. Keep an eye on your livestock.
How do they get the cattle? Do they say, here, come help me find a puppy? Like they do for kids. Like, how do you get all these cattle to come with you?
Yeah,
come on,
that's how
please.
They do it, Jill.
Yeah, we have a puppy. Come.
Excuse me, Miss Cow. Can you help me find a puppy?
Yeah, I've got some alfalfa over here.
3 ranchers say roundup searches in recent weeks in the hills and gulches on the remote summer range where the cattle graze have come up empty in 2 counties. The losses include a herd of 50 Black Angus consisting of 25 cows and 25 calves, valued at about $150,000. And the problem of it is, well, it's not a problem, but the reason is that right now livestock prices are higher than they have ever been in the history of man.
Why?
So, well, it's supply and demand. There's a lot of people, the numbers are down, more and more people, and, everybody wants a hamburger or a steak.
Do you think maybe the cows were onto it and finally said, you know what, if we're not out of here, we're going to be eating. We're going to be a hamburger. Let's go.
That's got to be part of it.
You think they ever break loose?
I'm sure that feeds into the equation.
I know it.
But at any rate, so that's the problem. That's the reason. And so if you got livestock, keep an eye on them. I guess there was one guy that they arrested for taking 10 dairy cows to the sale, and the dairy didn't even know it. Because, dairy's got, sometimes thousands of head of cattle. So
did they not know what their employees are doing?
Well, it wasn't their employee. It was just somebody who
someone took
swiped them. Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah. There
Well, they
you
have
go.
to. Don't they have to check the marks and stuff?
Well, that's
at
how
the
they got
sale?
caught
Yeah,
because
so. Well, how
it's
stupid
hard
can
to,
you be?
I know. Well,
I mean,
hey,
I'm sorry.
we're dealing with a criminal element here, and not all criminals are, Mensa members.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
in fact, most criminals aren't Mensa members.
Except Walter. What was his name?
Walter Heisenberg. Walter White was
Walter
his name.
White.
But, yeah.
He was a Mensa
But
member.
if you have criminals who are Mensa members, those are the ones that never get caught.
Is
those are
right?
the ones you don't even know are committing a crime.
It's called Wall Street.
And then
But
you
anyway,
got the other end of the spectrum who go out and steal cows and then get caught when they try to sell them. And then these are your complete idiots of the group. So
wow.
the village idiots. Anyway, so keep an eye out for your livestock.
On 50 cow walking down the street somewhere. Like, what did they do with them?
Well,
how do they think they're going to get away with it?
I don't know, but they're probably loading them up in semis and moving them out and maybe even getting them into other states that don't have as strict of branding laws as does Idaho. So anyway, that's what they're theorizing.
Oh, goodness.
And we got another email scam now. Unemployment benefit claimants, if you're getting unemployment benefits, listen up. You are being targeted by an email scam across Idaho and the rest of the country. The Idaho Department of Labor said that the emails ask claimants for banking information. The emails also say the claimants won't receive benefits unless they respond, or that benefits could be reduced or shortened. So the emails come from the Unemployment Advisory Department with an email address of support@usbenefits.org. The Labor
That sounds
Department,
quite official, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I've gotten scam emails. I get them all the time, and if you just look at them, you think, oh, wow, that looks pretty official. I just ignore them.
I get them from Yahoo all the time.
I know. The Labor Department says claimants should ignore these. The Labor Department doesn't know how the claimants' email addresses were targeted. The department does say it never requests personal identifying information through email.
There you go.
Nor does it contact claimants through a third party.
Because that would be too efficient.
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
Obviously.
But no, I mean, there's scams, but you're like, no, it's only in person and on the phone.
Yeah.
If you can get an appointment.
Even on the phone, I'm not even sure.
No, I know you don't.
If you get probably get a letter from them or something if they really need the information. It's like banks. They don't call you up and ask you this information, and they don't send you an email and say,
Although you'll get cards about your interest rate on your credit card. This is about your credit card, which kind of makes your heart stop, like, oh no. And then you find out I don't know what else it is. They're trying to sell you another credit card.
Just don't pay any attention to email unless you know who's sending it to you. That's right. So that means 95% of the emails you get are either scams or junk mail. I mean, it's worse than the Postal Service, all the junk mail we get there. Coming up, we're going to talk about the torture report here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Some breaking news. We understand there is a barricaded individual in the city right now that the police are at, and that is an ongoing situation, and that's all we know. And our news director, Benito Baeza, is on it now, and he will bring us any updates as soon as possible. We also want to tell you about Clearwater Power Equipment and their chainsaws. This is the time of year, you're out cutting wood, or the trees don't have leaves on them now. So if you wanted to trim up a tree or maybe cut down a tree, it's really difficult to do it with those old-fashioned hand saws, Oh, my gosh. I mean, yeah, you get a lot of exercise, but holy smoke, you get blisters on your hand.
Wear a glove.
You could have a heart attack, any number of things could happen. So just go to Clearwater Power Equipment. They've got chainsaws. It'll knock that tree down in a fraction of the time you do with a handsaw. And cut it up, use it for firewood. Go into the hills, get firewood. You need a new Husqvarna or Echo chainsaw from Clearwater Power Equipment in Twin Falls. Be great for a Christmas gift,
Sure.
Yeah, buy one for your wife.
Use it on the Christmas ham or turkey.
Yeah.
I mean, how else are you supposed to cut those things?
That's right.
My gosh.
But at any rate,
they've got them paper thin.
They service them, they sell them, they take care of you. At Clearwater
That's right.
Power Equipment, they're at 252 Washington Street in Twin. 734-7767 is the number.
This is the time of year for it.
I've got my little story here. Okay, this torture report is out. And according to the Central Intelligence Agency records, no one from the agency ever went to the Oval Office to give President George Bush a full briefing on what was happening in the dark dungeons of Afghanistan and Eastern Europe. And, of course, one side says, oh, they did too, and he just went ahead and authorized it. The other side says, no, they didn't.
Well,
we
Dick
really
Cheney
didn't know about all that
actually
kind of
said
stuff.
Dick Cheney actually said the president knew. I mean, his own vice president said he knew.
Well, there's
So
all
we don't-
kinds
you know, yeah,
of
that's-
he said,
he
she
wouldn't
said
know.
in this report.
He actually did say.
The bottom line is that there is a faction of people in this country who want to do anything they can to disparage the United States of America. So they come up with a report like this, and they're mad because we didn't tuck our enemies in at night and read them bedtime stories to put them to sleep. And now they want to disparage the whole country. In fact, they're getting the whole world ticked off at America. They're even expecting they are expecting outbursts and protests in other parts of the country
happened.
against American interests.
So are you actually condoning this? Because there is a thing called the Geneva Conventions.
Yeah,
that in
and we're the only ones who are
1949
supposed to follow the law.
But really, if you read what's happened and you took out the United States name, you would think this was happening in other countries. And I am sorry, some of the stuff is so disgusting to sit there
it
and
is, because war is hell.
No, torture is not appropriate.
What's disgusting is them knocking down our twin towers and killing over 3,000 of our people. That's disgusting.
Any kind of Geneva Conventions. We've heard about it plenty. We still hear about it.
Oh my goodness, we're treating those poor people so poorly. They were prisoners of war. War is hell.
Which is under the Geneva Convention.
Our people are tortured. Our people are getting their heads cut off, as a matter of fact. We're not cutting anybody. At least these people were allowed to live.
Oh, if you call this living.
Hey,
and if
you know what? They didn't die.
Oh, give me a break. What are you kidding me? I mean, even Republicans are appalled at this. And honestly, to puree someone's meal and to put them in their rectum, are you kidding me? If that's not torture?
Hey,
and
look at all the work it saved their
fries?
Body. The body didn't have to go through all that digestion.
You know
process.
what?
Come on, this is.
You know what? They never got any.
Hell.
Yeah. Well, torture isn't part of it.
And now they want to damn America because we were
should
fighting
be
the
damned.
enemy.
And you know what? For Senator Risch
We
to
should
say
be
it's
damned?
we should for doing. Are you kidding me? Do you think this is appropriate? Do you think if they did this to our soldiers?
They did. The reason
and
they
were
didn't
we
do it-
outraged? And we sat there and charged people
We're not,
war crimes.
We're not protesting them.
We're not having war crimes
Nobody's
against us.
protesting them.
No one's protesting us.
There's not even any riots in any other parts of the world protesting because they're cutting our heads off.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
they don't seem to care. But
You know
now that
what?
the United States is, oh my gosh, they tortured prisoners. Why, we better go and attack their embassies now because of that.
Well, you know, I can't even believe you're taking this position when, you know what, we should be leading on this.
It's
We
war.
should no.
War is hell.
That's
War
why
sucks.
they
War
have
stinks.
and you were never in war. And you
I
know what?
wasn't.
Even Senator McCain is against this, and that man was tortured. And we actually went after those people who tortured our prisoners, and those people were held accountable. No one's being held accountable for this. This was our CIA, and they just went and did it, and our administration knew about it.
We got a caller. Top story, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly and Jill.
Kyle, how are you?
Jill, just please give me a chance.
You got about 30 seconds.
You ain't giving me enough time here, Kelly.
I'm sorry.
It's, this whole thing is bogus. I don't like the fact that our politicians are giving themselves a bad name because they knew about it. They were briefed on it. Nancy Pelosi knew what was going on, and yet now she's standing on a soapbox and acting like she didn't know.
Of course, her and Feinstein.
What about George Bush? He knew about it too.
This is all politics because now all we're talking about is this report. I haven't seen one bleep on regular TV news about Gruber. Not one. Not one bleep.
Well, then you might not watch all the regular TV news, because I did.
We'll be right back. We've got Sergeant Ken Menzel with the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department up next here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. Hopefully we'll be able to have more time to talk about the torture report when we have a little bit more time. But right now... We have Sergeant Ken Menzel with the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Office with us here, and I guess I better turn up your microphone so we can hear what you have to say.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
We're
great.
well. How are you doing?
Doing well. Doing well.
Good,
Give me
good.
that taser.
I heard.
Come on.
I tried to keep my mouth shut.
Give me a
during that last
taser.
segment.
He's not going to do that because he's on my side.
He's closer to me.
That's right.
All right. So
I love you both.
we love you too, man.
We do.
In a manly sort of way.
There you go.
So you got any bad guys for us today? Or?
I do, and it's interesting that the warrants that both of these individuals have falls in line with what you were talking about at the very beginning of your show. Chandra Barth, Barth. She's born in 1993. She's about 21 years of age. She's 5'6", 117 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. She's got a $35,000 warrant for possession of a controlled substance.
Wow.
And then we have Kevin Eugene Hansen, born in 1968. He's about 46 years old. He's 6'1", 225 pounds with brown hair and hazel eyes. He's got a $10,000 warrant for possession of paraphernalia with intent to use. Both those individuals out of Twin Falls. If you have any information that can lead the sheriff's office into finding these individuals and bringing them to court, we'd appreciate it. Call us at 735-1911. That's dispatch. Or you can call the number for Crime Stoppers, where you're eligible to receive a cash reward for information that would lead to their arrest.
Which would come in handy right about now
For
Christmas
Christmas.
time, you know. Yeah, turn in your
I
friends so you
know.
can buy a Christmas present for
I
them.
know.
That's right.
Tough love, you know.
Absolutely.
Tough love. Buy a present for the person you turn in. How nice.
From the money that you got from turning them
Bad
in.
news, good news. Bad news is I turned you in. Good news, here's your present from the money I used for turning you in.
A warm place to stay and some TV to watch. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
3 meals a day.
There you go.
There you go.
So what numbers do they call?
735-1911 is dispatch, and 735-2307 for Crime Stoppers.
All right, very good. Well, now for possession, and we were talking early on, as you heard, about the meth situation.
Yes.
Are we making headway in this deal?
Nope. I would say absolutely not.
So do you think the meth labs are down?
Yeah, I think that the process of making meth has become so difficult that it's almost a discouragement for those who make the meth to continue on with that.
Well, especially when they can get it shipped to their door from the Mexican cartels.
Right after I started working with the sheriff's office, I had worked for previous law enforcement agencies in Twin Falls County with the Twin Falls Police Department in Buell. I was assigned to work with the narcotics task force as an undercover officer for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And I had the long hair and the beard, and I purchased.
I thought you looked familiar.
There you go. And I purchased a lot of meth, and we set up some reversals to where we tried to sell meth. And I can tell you with a surety that more than 90% of the meth that we purchased was the stuff that comes up from Mexico.
Even then.
So
Yeah.
could you tell, like, is it a different kind of, I don't know, brand, quality, whatever? Like, how would you
Is it
know?
the Heisenberg quality?
Well, not to be discriminatory, I do speak fluent Spanish. My partner at the time is Hispanic, and most of the people we bought from were Hispanic.
So they would just tell you where it wasn't like the quality. Like sometimes they say, oh, the quality of this heroin was this or that or whatever.
Right, and we'd buy pounds of it. A pound of methamphetamine at the time when we were buying it was over $10,000.
Wow.
And now what is it?
We seized cars and seized a lot of cash. Now, you may be lucky enough to be able to buy a pound for $10,000, depending on how much it's been cut. You can buy meth, $15,000, $20,000 for a pound of it now. It just depends on how you can get hooked up, your sources, the supplier, the kind of deal you make, the kind of people you're working with.
So what do you think the answer is on this? Because obviously, okay, so the labs have gone down, but the use has gone up. So
Yeah.
what are
The reason for the conversation is I was reading this morning an article in Boise about how the meth labs, there are not as many meth labs here in Idaho as there used to be.
Right. When I was working narcotics, I can think of 3 or 4 times that we're not equipped to contain or deal with a meth lab, and so we'd call in our resources from around the state, Idaho State Police and whatnot, to help us clean up these labs. We're just not seeing the labs. We're not calling the detail in to help us clean these up. By and large, we're seeing the meth distributed and brought in from the south.
So the reasoning for that would be they don't have to risk it then to make it here when they can get just as good from out of the country.
Sure, and even cheaper. You know, you see
it's kind of like that China syndrome with
you see the Chinese bringing in all of the Sudafed and whatnot that is a major component in methamphetamine and how it's brought into Mexico unregulated. As long as we continue to see practices like that, we're going to see meth brought up into the United States like it is now.
Of course,
basically uncontrolled.
Of course, when you see the drug cartels and what they've done, and the students that they've taken over, and killed, and I mean, it's really taken over the entire country.
It has.
The president of Mexico isn't doing anything about it. The whole country will be taken over soon. It's sad.
And I would say you could try and impose some sort of border control, but I don't know that that's going to solve anything.
Well, we'll be right back with Sergeant Ken Menzel. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Have you talked to Pat Hartzell yet? He's the guy with Stanley and Company who has the Low and Honey Loader, which loads all types of manure. We've talked about this before. You know what I'm talking about here. And so if you need one of these, get a hold of Pat. He can set it up so you can see one in operation. Yeah, you can go to YouTube, but you can look at it on a little bitty screen, but you just can't get the full impact like seeing it's like watching a concert on YouTube. It's just not the same as being there and being up close and personal with that piece of equipment.
We're going to have to watch that before you go. See if you can shovel as fast, right?
Oh, yeah, okay, whatever you say, Joe.
Why not? See it in action, right?
Yeah. 280-1167 is the number to call with Pat Hartzell. He can get you in touch with one of these feedlots that uses a Low and Honey Loader, and then you can decide if you need it. We have Sergeant Ken Menzel with us with the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department talking about meth, and I guess one of the reasons I bring it up, and because it is it's all connected. There was a situation up in, I think, Canyon County, one of those up in the Treasure Valley area, where a little kid was dialing 911 and then hanging up. So whenever that happens, police usually investigate just to make sure that everything is okay. And when he went there, the mom told the policeman, she says, "Oh, I tell my kids to not talk to you guys because you are the ones who are the ones who are killing us." That, of course, precipitated by the Ferguson situation,
right.
The New York and the grand juries that are not indicting these officers for whatever reason. But have you run into that in this area?
I haven't run into that per se as far as a parent vocalizing that they're teaching their children to shun or stay away from us. More often what we see, whether it's at the fair or just casual encounters on the street, sometimes you'll see a child somewhat misbehaving or getting on their parents' nerves, and it's not uncommon to hear a parent say to their child, "You better start behaving or we're going to have the officer or the deputy take you to jail."
That's always nice to hear.
It is nice to hear.
Especially as a child.
And it's so counterproductive as to what we're trying to accomplish in law enforcement. I'm the sergeant in charge of school resource as well as community relations. And as we're working to establish rapport with the children in the schools, and just as we meet children out on the roadway, whether we go to a school and we do a canine demonstration or whatnot, we're trying to establish rapport and establish a friendship with children so that if they find themselves in an emergency situation, in a situation of crisis, they're not afraid to call us. They're not afraid to call 911. And
that's sort of been part of the resource officer in the schools. I mean, the kids are trusting them, and they're telling them about the bullies and what's happening.
And right now, even out in Murtaugh, there's a young lady that's using me as a mentor for her senior project.
Wow.
And as we're working she's interested in a career in law enforcement. And as we're working with those children in the schools, it's great to establish those relationships. And it's frustrating when you hear a parent tell their child that we're going to take them to jail just for simply misbehaving, because that goes against what we're trying to do. And it's interesting to try and engage in a conversation with that parent and kind of chastise them, if you will, as to what they're really telling that child, and the fact that we're not there to create hate and discontent. We're there to serve everybody, whether it be the parent or that child.
Yeah.
I remember my car got broken into in Marblehead, Massachusetts, outside of my sister's house, and I had all my Hanukkah presents in there, and the next morning I went out and it was broken into, and my sister goes, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you they've had some robberies." So whatever. Like, why didn't you tell me? So anyway, the policeman came. Of course, they did a report, but he was so kind. My nephew at that point was probably maybe 3 or 4. And he gave him a ride in the police car, and he had a great time.
Didn't even take
And
him to jail, huh?
no, and they didn't find any of my presents or any of the things that I had, but he got a nice ride. But that in your mind right there establishes a good rapport, So Jared, always enjoyed that, and we'd see cops or police, or, fire departments, and it really shouldn't be a base
Especially
of
at that
fear.
age, it can really make an
Right, it
impact
can. It
on
can.
your thinking. It can change you one way or
Right.
the other for the rest of your life, really.
It
Absolutely.
really can, yeah.
Went
So
to school the other day in Kimberly and sat down with a bunch of elementary school kids at lunchtime. And my table was the popular table. Everybody, hey, is that a taser on your hip,
I know,
officer?
they're like,
And
give me the taser. My
Yeah.
teacher's over there.
so, the next time I go there, I'll bring a bunch of stickers with me, and we'll just pass out some of those
Right.
junior deputy badges, and the kids eat it up. And it's a really great experience to interact with the kids that way.
And that's nice, and that's what should happen. Unfortunately, in some neighborhoods, and we've seen this, that's not the relationship that they have, and
Right.
it's quite the opposite. So, and I think that's part of the, discontent. So,
We're lucky to live in the Magic Valley.
well, we are, and we don't have the diversity that some communities have, and like I've said before, I mean, I worked with two African American attorneys at Reebok, both Harvard educated. One drove a BMW, one drove a Mercedes. They were stopped constantly in Boston, constantly for nothing because they were black driving these nice cars. And can you imagine how humiliating that could be?
Absolutely. It's interesting
and
to
this
see
is what's happening.
The Attorney General, Eric Holder's even come out with new laws on racial profiling and religious profiling that they're going to have the federal government start enacting, hoping that will trickle down to local law enforcement.
Because, I mean, those things happen, and we don't, especially being white, we don't experience that. I know Eric Holder had experienced that once, even just running to a movie with his cousin, and I think he was assistant attorney general or something, and they're stopped, where are you going? That never happens to us, or if we're, Hispanic or something. And so I can understand, the frustration, because they don't have the relationship that you're trying to build with the community.
Right.
And I think it's important.
Absolutely. That's my whole job description, basically, is to establish that relationship.
I wonder if, like, all police departments have that sort of a program, or if they're hired for cops and they go out and they be cops and that's it. I think here in this area we've always kind of been proactive in that, and that the cops are going to the schools and trying to build that rapport. I wonder if they just have too much crime in those areas where the cops are always out catching the bad guys and don't have time to establish a rapport with the kids. I mean, you talk about there's tens of thousands of kids.
Well, just, the other day, I do service both the Murtaugh and the Castleford schools, along with one of our other school resource officers, and we spend a lot of time there. I write a few traffic tickets in between, driving back and forth. But by and large, the other day I was with Jill over at the Rotary, and we spoke about a couple of different interesting topics, the militarization of our police with Chappie, and he's an interesting individual to talk to.
Yeah.
And I do other types of things, like speak to the Castleford Men's Club, the West End Men's Association, and just try to become involved with the community and let people see what we're doing. But also it's a chance for the community to talk to me about what their concerns are and ways that we as law enforcement can address those concerns and work together.
It makes you wonder if all law enforcement agencies have that type of a program.
I don't know that
or if
they do.
Just hire them to be cops and that's it.
Yeah, I know that in this area, I think I'm the only one that does that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it should be done more, actually just in the community. But, I mean, you can understand why there's some discontent, right?
Sure. Well, one of the greatest travesties I think we've seen is years and years ago, before the advent of a vehicle, cops walked a beat.
Yeah.
And they were sitting in the local coffee shops, and they talked to the community. And once we isolated them, so to speak, and put them in a patrol car, we kind of lost touch with the community.
Yeah.
And so we need to figure out how to bridge that gap again and get back in the community and listen to what's being said and what the concerns are.
If we could go back to the days of Mayberry, maybe. Huh?
There you go.
One bullet in your pocket. What do you think about body cams? They're talking about body cameras, and I know other areas, which is shocking to me, Filer, Gooding, Wendell, and I was kind of surprised about Twin Falls' reaction. But what do you think about body cameras?
They have their place, and I wouldn't be opposed to wearing one. Like the article said, it would definitely, if you're doing the right thing for the right reason, which is what we teach at the sheriff's office, that's the way all of our deputies are supposed to handle calls and interact with the public, doing the right thing for the right reason. Body camera is not going to get you in trouble if you're doing the job the way you should be doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
For those officers or deputies who don't do that, it's an opportunity for them to either get on board with the program and do the right thing for the right reason, or look for a different career.
Right.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. Our problem, as was outlined in the paper, was that there's a big cost associated with it, and we don't want to buy equipment that doesn't work or equipment that doesn't serve our needs. And some of the big issues you see when you have as much contact with the public as we do is that it requires a lot of server space. It requires good cameras that can actually record the interaction instead of, well, sorry, the camera didn't work so well that day. It's just not a good quality camera. So being able to outfit, I think we have, 27, 26, 28 deputies. That's a pretty good chunk of change, whereas Buell only has to pay for 4 deputies to put body cameras
But
in.
do you have to pay for one for every deputy, or the ones that are just on duty where you could switch them out? Do you know what I mean?
You could. It becomes somewhat problemsome, though, to do that, where we respond. We have take-home vehicles and whatnot. We respond to work from our homes to go to the office and try and figure out, did somebody forget to leave their camera at the office and take it home with them? Now you're going to have to search that deputy down and find out, wake him up if he went home on graveyard shift and say, hey, do you still have your camera? It becomes somewhat problematic to
So they can't just
outfit
take
part of
them
them.
out.
But
Okay.
that's definitely an idea as to how to start that process. But eventually, I think you'd want to be able to get one for every deputy or every officer. If you have a camera that's running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it won't last as long as if you have that equipment issued to the individual.
Yeah, good point. Top story, you are on the air. Good morning. Hello?
Yeah.
Good morning, you're on the air.
Yes, I have a question for the officer there. He was talking about meth labs in our little town on the other side of the canyon here. I'm not mentioning the name. The officer, now it's been a year to today, we got a child taken from custody for harmful to a child because the drug use there. And the officer stood there and said they know who's making it, who's selling it, and who's using it. And they continue, as of today, they're doing that. And if the officer themselves know, why are they still letting them continue to do it and make it and sell it?
Okay.
That's not to say that there aren't meth labs in the area. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that we don't have any altogether.
Realizing, of course, this is not in your department. It's
Sure,
another
not in
department,
our
but-
jurisdiction, right?
But even at that.
If we were to receive information, anonymous information, or somebody were to tell us that there was a meth lab, certainly we'd investigate that. We'd do our best to make sure that if that was the case, that we would try and get that cleaned up and get it shut down.
I know there always seems to be, and I've talked to several people who they think, well, you tell the police, and so they should come in that day and arrest everybody, but it's not that simple either.
You're right.
And I know if a year goes by, that sounds a little suspicious too, but I suppose there are all kinds of reasons. Maybe they're trying to wait to see who that supplier is so they can get everybody at one time.
Sure.
They may be working on the case, but you won't know it because they do it undercover.
Well, we work under the premise of the Constitution where everybody has their Fourth Amendment rights to be free from search and seizure, so we have to make sure that we have our ducks in a row. And that once we establish probable cause to go after that, we have our search warrants in place to be able to take that down. But we can't violate somebody's rights and just go charging in and destroy a lab either. And
Do you think there are meth labs out here right now that are in operation that you just haven't found yet?
oh, sure, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to know that there was a handful of labs out there. And maybe not full-blown labs, maybe not labs that are actually manufacturing the product, but maybe taking product that is being brought in.
So if people think they have a
And
meth
cutting it.
lab in their neighborhood, their neighbors or whatever, who should they call?
If it's within the city of Twin Falls, call the Twin Falls Police Department.
If not, you
if
guys,
it's
right?
outside of the city of Twin Falls, either the sheriff's office or if it's in another municipality like Buell or Filer.
And they can do an anonymous tip?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So, because sometimes people are nervous about that.
Yep.
Should they just call 911 or how do they do that?
Probably not 911. Call the non-emergency line, the 735-1911. But if you call 911, nobody's going to get their feathers bent out of shape if you did that. Just
They're
to
not going to
provide
come
us
and
with-
arrest you for
That's-
using 911 for the wrong
Right.
reasons, huh?
That's right.
This wasn't an emergency. Get over here.
Yeah. What do you mean you want me to bring you 3 hamburgers?
That's right.
Donuts. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you staying, and we appreciate everything you do for Twin Falls, and
Thank you
we
so
want you
much.
to be safe out there for
Appreciate
sure.
it, Joe.
Yeah,
Kelly?
I know it's not easy, and no matter what you do, you're going to be criticized. And I know that not every cop in the world is clean. Everybody's just part of the human race. And
Reading some of the articles that have come out just in the last few weeks, I woke up the other day thinking maybe I need to go sell insurance. But I do have a great job and
Oh,
I
my
enjoy what I'm
goodness.
doing.
Is that what you want to do? Is that what you- Nothing against insurance agents. I'm glad they're doing it, not me. That's
Right.
all I can say.
Yeah,
That would
exactly.
not. Oh gosh, that and an accountant. Oh, I would hate that. I'm sorry. I know that's why those guys do that.
Yeah, they love it. They love counting those numbers.
But I think you're good at what you do.
It's
so
a rewarding
thank you very
job.
Much.
We do the best we can.
I'll bet it is. Sergeant Ken Menzel with the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department. Thank you, sir. and we'll
Thank
see
you,
next time.
and again, be safe out there.
Thanks.
And coming up next hour, we've got Kelton Hatch with Idaho Fish and Game. Hey, well, welcome back to Top Story. 736-0300 is always the number to call.
Kelton, that was
Yeah,
great.
we got Kelton Hatch with Idaho Fish and Game. We do a lot of talking during the breaks. I just want to say one thing, though. I was listening to the news.
Were you?
Now, California is getting rain.
Yeah.
First of all, they were in the middle of a drought, and they were complaining and carrying on, and oh, woe is us. And now they're getting rain, and now what are they doing? They're complaining and carrying on, and woe
Just
is us.
malcontents.
Can you not please Californians?
Oh, please.
I mean, for crying out loud.
Oh, my God.
I mean, just because they're getting 6 inches of rain an hour with 80-mile-an-hour winds, I
know
mean,
it's-
at least they're getting it.
It wasn't San Francisco getting snow for the first time ever.
That could be. And
Yeah.
see, they'll be able to snow ski and all sorts of
yeah,
stuff.
and yeah, on the Golden Gate
And
Bridge.
they're complaining.
Why are they
I don't get
complaining?
it.
I don't understand.
They need to be more specific in their prayers.
That's
Yeah.
right.
When they're
yeah.
praying for rain, just
I-
say a little rain, please.
I don't think they pray.
A little rain.
I don't think Californians pray. I don't think
Can
they
you
believe
say
in that.
the most ridiculous things? Seriously, can you imagine? What is anyone from California? Please call in and give him grief.
He's
What is
filling
wrong with
he's
you?
If
filling
they're
his
living
oats
here,
today.
they will agree.
Huh?
He's filling his oats today.
I
Oh
am.
my goodness,
I am.
great!
I
You know
really
why?
am.
Because his oats are going to be full in 19 days, so you're going to be done. Actually, what? 20 days?
Well, just to officially kick off this hour, we do have Kelton Hatch with Idaho Fish and Game, and it's his day.
Yeah, your
Yeehaw.
last time with
Once a month,
Kelly.
yeah.
No, it's kind of sad.
Is it?
It is.
Well, I'm actually glad to hear you
I
say
know.
that because you could have said, "Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad."
I can't wait to meet the new co-host.
Now,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm taking a chance here. We got a caller,
Take
and
a
they
chance.
may have a question or a comment for you, Kelton.
And if they don't, we'll cut them off.
That's
Yes,
right.
it's
If they
on
don't-
you and praying.
Could be.
Someone from California.
Top story. You were on the air. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Oh, I don't have a question, but California has 3 seasons. You know what they are?
I'm afraid to ask. What?
Yeah, they're fire, mudslide, and rain.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah, except
Although
they
now
haven't been
they're-
getting much rain here in the last few
Although
years.
now I
so
think they're getting some snow. So, okay.
there you go.
Anyway, so Kelton, how have you been? And we promised our listeners the holiday roadkill recipe that they can make for their Christmas family dinner this month. So you're not going to disappoint, are you?
I'm not.
I didn't think you would.
Did you bring that special skunk recipe that you have?
No, I think we'll go with a little fancy. This is if the we'll talk about it later.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got to.
All right.
Yeah, you got. It's a hook. They got to hang on.
We don't want to spoil it now.
They got to hang on.
So how are our hunting seasons going?
You know, this is just the silliest weather. I'm not complaining. It's
Go
just
ahead.
so silly for me to be when it's this warm. When you're out, your dogs are overheating right now. It's like, including myself.
Yeah.
You know,
in December, yeah.
in December, it's just been a really bizarre. We've had some tremendous big game animals harvested this year. Most of our big game seasons are starting to wrap up. Basically, what we have going still is waterfowl and upland game birds. And then people are starting to get into. I mean, trapping's been going on for a while, but we've got pheasants to the end of the month, and we have chuckers and quail and huns until the end of January, and our mountain grouse, and then we have waterfowl till around January 23rd. And so there's still a lot to get out there and hunt for. It'd be nice if we could get a little bit of the snowy weather to bring more ducks and geese into the area, make things instead of 65 degrees in the morning. Or I think I got up this morning, it was like 37 degrees, and it's just like crazy.
the
Yeah,
nerve.
well, it's 40 right now.
I know.
so-
We know how you don't like any kind of indoor heating or anything.
Well,
No, just tell people what temperatures you keep in your house. That's
usually
what we
keep
were
it
laughing
about
at.
63 and in the 50s. I
Yeah,
don't. you
what
can
is
put
it at night?
About 57 to 58.
So I said, what does your wife wear a coat, and you said me.
I was joking. No, but no, it's just I can sleep better.
57 degrees in your house at night.
It's better to sleep that way.
No, we sleep it cool.
It really
but
is. You're right. It
no, we
absolutely
sleep
is.
cool, but not that cool. That's
you just
cool.
keep the bedroom door closed and open the window a little bit and cools it off, and then you can sleep.
And you get that fresh air.
You
So
just
get
don't want to
some fresh
get
air
out of
from
your
that.
bed. Like, who has to get out to turn the heat up?
Yeah, it's still warmer in a tent.
Oh, my
Yeah,
goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Jill, you just got to try it sometime. You got to turn.
We do lower it. Now, I like to sleep cool, too, but, boy, just keeping it that all the time, woof.
Yeah,
I
when,
need a
when you
coat
wake
on.
up and there's an icicle forming on your
Yeah.
nose, that's
Yeah.
You see, it's 32 degrees. It has to be to get there.
Kelton's
So-
ideal temperature.
But you see, I do have to. We do have a really warm spot. I've got a fire downstairs, and so the basement stays really nice and toasty. It's kind of like t-shirt weather down there.
Oh, my gosh.
all right.
Well, thank
Hey.
you. Now everyone knows Kelton's living patterns.
Yeah.
Now, you are asking for the public input on planning the upcoming season?
We've got a bunch of. This is our planning time of year. I mean, we're kind of wrapping up our hunting seasons, and things have been tremendous this year. We've got several, like we was talking earlier, pending records for the state. We may have some that are in the top 2 or 3 in the state record books, as well as some that we may have one elk that looks like it may make the number 3 in the country, in the world, that was killed this year. And so for muzzleloader hunting. But right now we're getting into our planning season. We're this next week we're going to be having. I got to find my date for sure on the meeting, because we're having a meeting for our trophy species. And what trophy species are deer, is bighorn sheep, mountain goat, and moose. We're looking at what the biggest change we're looking for the Magic Valley is to put in a 2 moose bull permits in Unit 54 down south. And I can't find my date for some reason.
Is that topping it?
That's it, right there.
What do you have with
If
his
you ever
stuff?
need any faction figures, just let me know.
He
I
just pulled it
appreciate
out of
that.
the trash can. Where did that come from?
Well, it's better than mine was supposed to have been in my little pile of papers, and I forgot. I got talking about other things. But no, on December 18th, we're going to have a open house at the regional office. You can come in from noon to 7 p.m. that night, and we're just going to talk about the trophy species regulations. And this is going to be a 2-year reg. We're setting it for 2015, 2016. Plus, we'll also allow people will be able to comment on other proposed changes. I wish I had more of that information for you today, Kelly. We're in the process. What we do is we come up with the proposed changes, and then we send it to the director, and after the director gives it his blessing, then we'll put it on the website, and then we'll have those proposals. And so check the website next week, and we should have those, Jill. That way you can go in there and say, yes, I would like to have a moose hunt in Unit 54 next year.
Sure, in my backyard. Thank you.
Yeah, well,
it
would be in your backyard.
I know,
because you live south of Highway 30, so
I do.
So
There you
therefore, if
go.
a moose and you have a permit wanders through your backyard, you could harvest it next year.
I'd
if that
probably feed
passes.
it carrots or something. There you go.
Well, they are vegetarians.
There you go.
And so therefore, they're
But
good.
Carrots are
Vegetarians
not
should eat them.
vegetables, right?
Carrots are
Carrots
vegetables.
are starches.
What are you talking about?
That's corn.
What are you talking about? Are you okay? Carrots are not vegetables? Carrots, of course, they're a root vegetable.
Okay.
They're tubers.
What's happening to you?
He's
Maybe tomorrow's your last day. Are you okay? Are you having a stroke? Are you
I read
okay?
something somewhere where carrots
Are you
are
thinking about-
starches, so don't eat them as a vegetable if you're on a diet.
Oh, for gosh sakes. Oy.
I'm just saying.
Well, they're not, of course it has carbohydrates in it, but it doesn't make it a grain. Okay, anyway, Kelton,
Well,
help me, please.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go from here.
I eat like 2 vegetables, and that's a potato and a green bean, and then meat.
And not a carrot.
Gravy.
But a moose eats a carrot was the whole point. They're vegetarians.
We have a lot more moose
So
around here
therefore,
than we used to.
vegetarians should be able to eat moose.
Because
they're vegetarians.
That's right.
You're
That's
just
right.
eating the middleman. Okay.
So, but no, come by that meeting. We're 2 miles north of the Flying J, and we're on the west side of the road if you've never been to our office. And
Wait a minute,
we'll have.
wait a minute. Aren't you on the east side?
Oh, you're right. East side. That's what I said.
You do know where you work, right?
I do. Did I say which side?
You said the west side.
West. No, we're on the east side. I'm sorry about that. We are on the east side of the road in the business park over there. So stop by and say hi and come in and fill out a questionnaire. If you have any other comments or questions or problems with the existing trophy regulations or would like to see some changes, this is your comment period for that. So come by and talk to us. And as soon as we're done with that, then in January, we'll be having our regular big game season setting meetings, and we'll have those in. We're going to change this format this year a little bit. We'll give a presentation, then people will be able to, instead of having the open house format, we're actually going to start more of a presentation, then let people get up and discuss the things that they'd like to, more of a group forum. We'll be doing that this year, and we'll have meetings in Burley, Sun Valley, and the Jerome office, and we'll also have a few changes and tweaks in there. So if you have any comments or like to see some changes or see some things, talked about, bring those comments to the big game season settings. And so this is just that time of year for it's kind of like.
Do a lot of people get involved?
We do. It's amazing. We'll have about 200-300 people show up at these meetings. And it's really cool to be able to get and be able to visit with a sportsman. I mean, it just gives us that many more eyes out in the field on what people have been seeing and what they'd like to see. And we've got some really avid sportsmen around here that spend a lot of time. And it's cool to get their comments and their perspectives on things because it just kind of helps us to be able to come up with the ideas. We know basically the numbers of critters we have out there. And then it's kind of up to the sportsman to determine how we're going to harvest the excess so that we can maintain our deer and elk populations just a little bit below carrying capacity. And that's a long discussion if we go into that here. But no, we really want to hear from our sportsmen, so come. The other thing I want to mention while we're talking about that is get your harvest reports in, please. Jill, did you fill yours out?
Yes, it was 0.
0. No, what a harvest report is if you drew or if you purchased a deer, elk, antelope, or any big game permit, you can go online and you just use your hunting license number or your tag number, and it can pull up your paperwork on that permit. You can say how many days you've hunted and whether you were successful or not. That gives us an idea on how many animals were harvested because we do aerial counts, we do ground comp surveys, and then we use these hunter statistics to determine the permit levels for next year. So please get those in as soon as possible. And there's also a reward this year for, I can't remember what the prize was though.
But Kelton,
I'm just unprepared.
There were some ducks that were poached in Buell, like 12 of them or something. Have they found anyone who's done that, or
we haven't, and we've just had a rash of that this year. It's just so disheartening when we start seeing that happen.
You just kill them and just leave them.
Well, people, something happens, and it sounds like Kelly's ready to go. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we come back.
Yeah, I want
Sounds
you to.
Good to me. We have Kelton Hatch with us from Idaho Fish and Game here on Top Story. 736-0300 is the number to call if you have questions or comments.
Kelton, you're
736-0300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. The word of the day brought to you, of course, by the Happy Landing Restaurant.
Your favorite place ever.
That's right, at the Twin Falls Airport. I'm going out there today.
So if anyone wants to eat lunch with KLIXcast, go to the Happy Landing Restaurant.
Come on out.
Or buy you lunch.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be even better, actually.
Kelton, that's even better.
Well, and if you're a first-time visitor at the Happy Landing Restaurant and you tell them that Kelly and Jill told you about it, Kelly or Jill, if you want to get okay, and
you want to be technical,
and you purchase a drink or a meal, they'll give you a piece of homemade pie.
Yeah,
I can.
Doesn't that sound good, Kelton? Have you been there for lunch?
I never have.
So go out there, tell them Kelly or Jill sent you, Kelly and Jill sent you, and you want a piece of pie, but you got to order something, right? A drink or something.
You order something with it, yeah.
Order a cup of coffee, get a piece of pie and coffee.
And you can even get it a la mode. I mean, you'll have to pay for the a la mode, but I mean. Apple pie a la mode. It's just, there's nothing like. Okay.
We get so distracted on the Happy Landing, we forget what they sponsored.
Yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Ken Blacker.
Ken Blacker, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is flake.
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 Yeah.
Now, consider that like snowflake.
Snowflake.
Rather than like a flake that you know.
Yeah, please don't call in and say I'm a flake.
Go to our website, newsradio1310.com. Click on Word of the Day, type in Flake, Flake, and listen tomorrow. And if you hear your name tomorrow and you played the word today, you'll win $100.
That's how easy it is.
We have some callers for Kelton Hatch from Idaho Fish and
good.
Game. Top story, you're on the air, and thanks for waiting.
Good morning. I'm curious about the pronghorn. For the longest time driving up towards Boise on the freeway, there were times I'd see hundreds of them, and now nothing. Is there some reason?
Mostly because of the lack of snow. What was going on with all those pronghorn that was getting down around Mayfield and down outside of Mountain Home, where we'd get enough snow up in Fairfield area and up in that country.
It's happening early.
It's
What's going on today? Between you and Kelly.
I don't know, just losing it. But no, up in that Fairfield area, those pronghorn would migrate down into there, and some from over closer to Boise. We just haven't had any winter conditions, and so the pronghorn are kind of staying. We have record high numbers of pronghorn up in the Fairfield area, and we'll probably end up increasing permits up there this year. So there's lots of pronghorn. They're just not migrating down to the road. That's a good question, though.
They're hiding.
Yeah, they're trying to stay away from the cars.
Trying
Good
to
morning.
live.
Top story, you're on the air with Kelton Hatch.
Good morning.
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 My question, Kelton, being former law enforcement, we have penalties for laws that are broken that are supposed to deter bad behavior. And these two fellows that got caught poaching and found guilty, I think it was in the east part of the state where they had harvested a cow moose and several deer. The only thing I saw in the news clip is that their hunting privileges were suspended for life. I guess my question is, was there more significant penalties than that? Or if that was the case, what deterrent do they have to not do it again?
Well, that's a great question. A lot of times, that's the rough part about when you get suspended for life. If you're poaching, typically you're hunting without a license anyway.
Yeah.
And so losing your hunting privileges for life doesn't deter all poachers. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the full. We just had one over in Boise also that had lost their hunting privileges for 10 years, and they were fined. It was a couple thousand. I think that one over there I'm trying to remember. I may not be exact right, but I read that yesterday or 2 days ago, and I think it was around $10,000 or $20,000 is also fined, and then they got some time in jail. That's a pretty egregious crime that they'd committed over there. And so if you go to our Fish and Game website, fishandgame.idaho.gov, and on that page on the left-hand side, there's a news, and it's got some of our press releases. You can click on up there and go down through, and it'll have a more detailed story on that.
All right. Top story, you were on the air with Kelton Hatch.
Yeah, two questions for you. One, I own almost 300 acres. I mean, 15 acres short. And I feed deer all winter long when they push them in here. I mean, up to, a couple of hundred head. Well, and I don't have enough acreage to qualify for a landowner tag. I think that acreage needs to be dropped back a little because, the farmers feed them all winter long on a bad year. They should be able, if they want, to have a little kickback off that or something. Anyway, and another question is, in your regulations, you list any land that is ag land, except in agriculture, you don't even have to post it to be no trespassing. I can't remember the exact term of it.
Any cultivated or irrigated cultivated
right.
land, yeah.
Well, my desert land is pasture. It's got cows on it. That is an agricultural operation, even though it is not cultivated. I think you guys need to reword that a little bit too, as far as
Yeah, well, I think he's got the gist of your issue there, and we'll be right back with Kelton Hatch. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. We have Kelton Hatch with Idaho Fish and Game. We'll get back to more calls with him in just a second. But I just wanted to tell you, it is hunting season still. There's quite a few hunting seasons.
Tons.
Yeah, and they've got guns at Canyon Pond. So
you can never go wrong with a gun for Christmas.
That's right. That's right.
I think in my case you can.
I bought guns for my wife, my daughters, my sons, my grandchildren, and I keep them at home. They can use them when they come over. But at any rate, they got guns at Canyon Pond. So, if you're looking for one, or even if you're not, you know how that is. You go in and, oh, man, I'm not looking for one, but, boy, that's a nice one.
That's Kelly.
And, and Christmas is coming up, and my wife, I think, needs a new gun. So, anyway, give that a shot, so to speak. And also camping stuff and woodworking supplies and fishing poles and fishing gear and tools. It's all at Canyon Pond, the cleanest and newest pawn shop in Twin. They're on Shoshone Street. Right across from Will's Toyota, 3rd Avenue South there. So drop in, tell them that Kelly and Jill sent you, and they'll be tickled to death that you did.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Kelton Hatch. We got some calls coming in. So Top Story, you're on the air with Kelton Hatch. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. And Kelton, thanks for coming on and answering questions like this. It's really good.
Well, as you say that, I know we had a caller just before the break, and I forgot to have Kelton address that. But go ahead with yours, and we'll have Kelton address that previous caller.
Okay.
Two.
Hey, I think there's kind of with most hunters, they get together and, you talk shop and everything. And I think, ever since the wolf population exploded in the state and it got above the minimum breeding pairs that was the initial goal, by who knows how many 100% beyond that, I think there's always been a simmering anger among a lot of hunters that they've been stabbed in the back in other words, I don't think myself, I don't know of the efforts of Fish and Game to actually help the situation by, I don't know what you could do, but something needs to be done to bring the wolf population back down and allow the elk, especially the elk population, to get back up to the levels that it was. And I don't know what I just wanted to know what Fish and Game was doing and what you thought about that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Appreciate your call, and that's a great question and I probably haven't done my job as well as I should have getting that information out. We ourselves, through the help of Wildlife Services, remove about 250 to 300 wolves a year that are caught in depredation acts, biting cattle, biting sheep, and things like that. And so we'll call in Wildlife Services and remove that many wolves from the population. With hunters removing about 250 to 300 a year also, we're being able to put about a 500 animal dent in it each year. We also have several biologists and technicians that basically go out and try to trap, radio collar wolves across the state so that we kind of have. The hardest part about this whole deal is we are above what they originally, by long ways, what they originally wanted us to have in the state. And I think a lot of hunters are exactly like you said, are upset because we did, as well as Fish and Game, is because the rules were changed halfway through after the delisting started, and it's not really delisting, but after they went into this experimental packs that they brought into the state, they kept changing them, upping the numbers. We're going to keep a minimum amount of wolves in the state just because if we get some type of disease or something that comes in, we don't want the whole population to be wiped out. And we're going to maintain wolves in the state of Idaho. That's basically what we've been given now, and so that's how it's going to remain. We have technicians that go out, they trap, they radio collar, they do scat surveys so that we can do DNA to understand the different breeding populations and where they're at. It may be hard to believe, but the way we have to document our 12 breeding pairs a year is we have to actually go and see the pups on the ground, and then we have to maintain contact with that pack of wolves until January of this year.
Wow.
So pups were born this spring. We have to be able to guarantee that we have an alpha male and alpha female and surviving young in that group, so that when we send in our report saying, yes, we have documented our 12, 15 packs of wolves in Idaho, that's tough to do. Because, I mean, we go through hunting season, you get these dumb pups out there, they're usually the ones that get harvested, and so it's really tough to monitor these. We're also trying to get more trapping and going on in the Frank Church. We're getting a lot, and the Selway, Frank Church, Selway, Bitterroot country. We're getting a lot of feedback on those from landing ships in there. It's going to be, we got an uphill battle.
Wow.
Kelton, we still have to answer the caller's question before, so hang on and he'll get you an answer.
I will. I'll get that next hour.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. Actually, next segment. You won't be here next hour, Kelton.
I know.
We can only give you so much.
We're gonna bump rush for Kelton.
I'm excited about all the calls. It's cool.
Absolutely. And we'll be right back with Kelton Hatch from Idaho Fish and Game. All right, we're back with Kelton Hatch with Idaho Fish and Game. We got a caller waiting here, but we had the caller who called before us, and he's got 300 acres of ground and a few cows, and that's agricultural land as far as he's concerned, so he shouldn't have to post that?
Well, he's exactly, the way the rule reads is it's just there's so much BLM. Idaho is 65, almost 70% federal lands. The reason the rule reads if it's agriculture or cultivated land, irrigated, that farmers don't have to post it is because it's really easy to recognize. Other states have gone to, it's the hunter's responsibility. They have to carry land ownership maps, and if it's white on the map, they can't hunt it. Idaho's never done that. If he would like to see that happen, I would probably take it to his legislators on that. But that's the way, I appreciate the comments on there, and he's welcome to come to our big game meetings and get it on there, and we can scope that. On the other one, we do have, if you had 300, I don't know, it's just hard not to have an arbitrary number, because if we drop it below 300, then people with 250 will want us to do that, and people with 50 acres will want us to do it. And so that's a number we've come up with. And I wish we could do something else different.
As far as not having to post it, right?
You see, as to be able to get the landowner appreciation permits.
Yes.
And I understand a lot of these small acreages do offer tons of habitat for area wildlife, and thank goodness that we have them, because when winters get bad and wildlife gets pushed down onto some of these lower lands or some of these grazing lands, they do provide a critical need for those animals. So thanks for keeping your land open and not building on it. And
but you got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, it's hard when people say, well, you missed it by that much.
Yeah.
And so I understand his thoughts on it.
All right, top story. You're on the air with Kelton Hatch.
Good morning, Kelton. You gave us some numbers on what is harvested as far as wolves are concerned. Can you give us an idea of how many are born every year? I mean, you say you harvest 500 a year. Are we getting more than that, or how many pups are we getting every year?
It's one of those moving numbers. The population can double or triple, in a year, depending on the survival of the pups. And so that's what we're maintaining our population pretty much right around 1,000 wolves, as I think. Well, I'm trying to think what the actual number is. When you see the numbers on our website, we know we have that many, and there's probably surplus above that. I guess what we kind of calculate our wolf numbers by, we're still having depressed numbers in the Frank Church on our elk, and in the Selway, we're actually starting to see an increase in elk numbers in Unit 49, 50 in these areas. Partially that's because we have high harvest success up in those areas on wolves, and then we remove a lot of wolves during depredation acts, because we have a lot of grazable cattle grazing up in there, so they bite cows, and we go and remove them. We still have very viable populations of wolves in those areas, but we do have access to manage them heavier. So I wish I could give you the exact numbers. The easiest thing I guess I'll have to send you to is our website again. We have a whole section on wolves in there if you just go to the fishandgame.idaho.gov, and I'll try to get a little bit more versed on those so next time I come in here I can give you a little better answer.
All right, very good. We've got some hunter education classes coming up. Those are very popular.
It is. I just wanted to get this out there quick. Right now, we kind of had a lull. Our hunter education classes are given to people by volunteer instructors. Our volunteer instructors that teach hunter ed hunt. So during hunt season, our numbers really drop off on our hunter ed classes. Right now we have 2, 4, 6, 8 classes scheduled for the Magic Valley area. So if you've got a youth or an adult or somebody that's looking for a class, get on there, get signed up for one of those hunter education classes. We got them through
these
December,
are
January, February, none in February and March. And so, yes, they are required for anybody that I think is born after 1975.
Yeah.
So all of us in here are grandfathered in, so we can hunt without.
Oh, good.
Just barely, though.
Barely.
Just barely.
Yeah,
just a day
exactly.
or two. And so, but if you've never hunted before, even if you was born prior to that and you would like to get some good instruction, great classes. Even if your kids don't hunt or don't plan on hunting, I would still recommend the class because you live in Idaho. Your kid is going to come in contact with a firearm at some point in time. It's nice if they know how to handle themselves.
Is that what the
around
classes are about?
They're hunter safety classes.
Okay.
I mean, gun safety. We really press on muzzle control and just overall firearm safety. And so, I mean, we do have stuff that we talk about hunting and being prepared in the woods and things like that. But they're great classes for everybody. And we got some just tremendous instructors.
Now, you had some we're going to run out of time. How about some gifts for the sportsmen for Christmas or Hanukkah?
Come down, get a gift card for their sportsman's pack, for their hunting license. You've got to have that January one. One of my greatest presents my mother gave me was every year she gave me a sportsman's pack, and I loved it because it's a present that I could use year-round. Plus, then they don't get in trouble for not having it when they head out the first of the year. So, Jill, you can get a gift certificate for our wild game cookbook for one of your friends, too.
Cool. And I tell you what, we're out of time, but you're going to be back with your roadkill recipe in just a second.
The holiday version.
All right, here's the Huckabee Report, and he'll be right back. And you can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed, Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors. Oh, don't let me interrupt. And the number is 736-6563. Hey, we're going to get back to Kelton Hatch here in a second. He's got his holiday roadkill recipe for you.
Yeah, people, you got to listen up. This is going to be delicious.
But before you do that, I just wanted to tell you, I know that we're not irrigating any crops right now, but it won't be long till we'll be back at it all over again. And you might think that maybe your pivot irrigation system out there is just doing fine. It's been out there for 20 years, never missed a lick. Well, I'll tell you what, you might be surprised if you did some overflights of that and took pictures of your crops with infrared photography, because you might find some problems. And that's how you do it, with an overflight with infrared Baron of infrared photography. Then you can see the dry spots and maybe the 2 wet spots, the ones that you think it's being watered just fine, and you wonder why over the years your crop yield is going down.
Why
this
is my
could be
crop
why.
yield going down?
And they can help you with it at Far More of Idaho. They've got the infrared Baron. These overflights don't cost.
Okay, we got a recipe.
They pay.
Okay.
All right. Infrared Baron from Far More of Idaho, 324-3341. Okay, I am sorry to take so much time for our sponsor.
Okay, Kelton.
This is a hors d'oeuvres. No, a hors d'oeuvre recipe.
Okay. Or appetizers.
Or an appetizer.
He doesn't speak, for somebody who doesn't speak French.
Okay, there you go. You can use this on duck or goose breast, so you're going to have to be driving pretty fast to get one of those with your car. But if you end up with a duck or a goose, fillet the breasts off, clean them off, wash them really good, get your buckshot at them, get them nice and clean, put them garlic, pepper, put them on the barbecue grill, bring the core temperature up to about 135 degrees, so it's still really rare. Pull it off, slice it thin, put it on a piece of tin foil, cover it in barbecue sauce, leave it on there just long enough to warm the barbecue sauce up, and serve it. They will think they're eating prime rib. I know it sounds crazy.
Wait, you just do little slices?
Thin slices.
You don't put it on bread or crackers or anything?
That kind of ruins the flavor for me, but you can put it on a dried bread or something like that. I just really like duck and goose cooked medium rare, because you can't overcook game meat, otherwise it really kills the flavor.
And you don't get sick or anything.
And you don't get sick.
Okay.
It's nice and clean. So I mean, it's pure.
So with the red barbecue sauce, is that the holiday part of it?
No, it's just food for the holidays, and it's duck and goose season,
there
and it's
you go.
They're awesome that way. But just spice it up. I like a little tang on the outside, so the garlic and the good black pepper, or, something that gives it a little zing.
How long do you have to wait, like right after you kill it, like on the roadkill, to that's still good?
If it's been
how long is it still good?
As long as it's cold outside, it's good for 24 hours typically.
All right.
So you can hit it.
Hit it and eat it the next morning.
Okay, wow. Drive fast, people. It's 80 miles an hour now.
Kelton Hatch, Idaho Fishing Game. Thank you, sir.
Hey, Merry Christmas,
Thanks,
everybody.
Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year. And we'll see you tomorrow right here on Top Story. Goodbye. Oh, tomorrow we have David.
We have a lot.
He came from Iraq.
Is he an interpreter?
He's going to tell us what it's really like in Iraq. He's living in America now as an American citizen, and he's got a great story to tell. We'll talk to him tomorrow here on Top Story. See you then.